Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I love crafting, shopping, decor and makeovers. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I'm in the dollhouse again, looking at bathroom units and toilets over the various dollhouses that I've had. This is part 2 and here comes the new toilet. This I think was a face cream or an eye cream bottle and I thought that's going to make a perfect toilet base. And then I can't remember what that was, whether it was a Tic Tac. I don't think it's a Tic Tac box, it's a bit smaller. So it might be just a little box that I made and I covered it with paper. And then I just got some poster board and cut it into a toilet lid shape and then just glued it all onto that base. And then I put a little sequin on the top as a little plunger. I did... After a while, I'll show a little picture later on, I did put a band of white paper around the edges because when I put it in the house, I did, after looking at the video, realise that the edges looked a bit raw where I'd cut the poster board away. So I do actually add a little band of white, I can't remember whether it was a label or just A4 paper, just cut into a thin strip and then glued on, just made it look a little bit more professional. But this dollhouse was a little bit smaller, so I had to go with a smaller item because the first dollhouse toilet I had was a little tiny plant pot base, but obviously if you need a smaller one you have to go with smaller things. So going with smaller things, I made a smaller little unit. So nice, easy, just 4 pieces of card, 2 rectangles, 2 squares, and then just sellotape together. And then a little bit of board, a little bit of cardboard to go on top. And then I had some black tape and some fancy tape. I thought I'd have a nice little pattern, sort of a marble type pattern top to it. So I popped that on top just to make it a little bit thicker and then put the tape on the sides to make it almost like a little thin piece of marble or granite, to go on the top of the unit, and then covered the unit with some black sticky back paper that I had with a bit of a glitzy shine to it. So it's just, again, it's so simple to make dollhouse furniture. I mostly just use cardboard, sellotape it together and then cover it with something, some sort of paper or material. And then I use my trusty pins. I just shoved them in to make handles. And then obviously when the top's on, you can't see them. But I thought they made nice little door handles. And then this was a compact mirror off a makeup or an eyeshadow or something that I had. And I thought that's perfect to go on the wall as a lovely tall mirror. So I just glued that onto the wall. What's cool I like about this wall I have in my dollhouse is it can be pulled out, so it makes it easier for crafting. And then I made a new sink using the lid. I don't know whether that was a candle jar lid, like a tiny little one, but perfect for going on top of the unit. I think the mirror looks great there above the unit, very professional. So I was lucky just to have a black mirror that went so well. And then put my new sink lid. I fashioned a tap out of foil and then used a couple of beads as the taps. That's sort of like a go-to idea for taps. Or a paper clip's another good one because it already has that rounded shape to it. And then I added my accessories, my toilet roll holder and my hand soap and things like that. And I was pretty pleased really with this. Was my new dollhouse, and as I say, it was smaller than the first one, so I had to make all new furniture to fit, and it gave me a chance to go nice and modern as well, nice and geometric, and I was pretty pleased. And there's the toilet there with the white around the sides, making it look definitely more professional. So then you see I can just slide this wall in and out of the bathroom, and as I say, it makes it really easy when I want to do some work in there. And then obviously sticking things on the wall is a lot easier when you can pull the wall out, so that is a good idea. And then I just kept this in place. I just sort of pushed it in. I didn't glue it to the wall, although I do then have that in mind for the next renovation that I do on the dollhouse, because it is nice sometimes to have things glued in place, then you don't have to worry about them falling over. But of course, if you glue things in place, then makes it harder to move stuff about, so do have to be mindful that you might want to do some renovations. So of course I put the plug hole in the sink as well, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And as I say, just so simple. Definitely jars, bottles, lids are great tools for the Dollhouse enthusiasts. So I always recommend have a look round, see what you've got, and when you're buying things and you're having your food, always sort of think, oh, could I use that? So as I said, I did decide to streamline, and I used my Dollhouse kit as inspiration. So I made a new unit just using the same idea as the kit of having just a piece of card or wood, but I used thick card, covering it with the black, and just making a unit that could go onto the wall. So here it is. It's in the similar style to my first unit that I put in freestanding, but this one I have glued onto the wall, and I've got the same sort of marble looking top to it. Here is the tap. I was just saying I sometimes use drawing paper clips, not drawing pins, sorry. And what I did is I covered it with that black paper as well, because I wanted to have a black tap. Found another lid, I think that was off of maybe a gin bottle or something, and it's nice and black. So I've got myself a nice black sink for the bathroom, and then just had a little rootle around in my jars with bits and pieces, and then had some metallic hardware there that I could use for the taps. So I always keep little bits of necklaces and pins and things, because they always come in handy. So that's a lovely new sink. Now it is a little bit smaller than that, the glass one. So when I did put it on, I thought it was a little bit low. So I just got some buttons. I've got some white buttons and some black buttons, and I thought, well, that goes with the colour scheme of the black and white. So I popped those on there to build the sink up and make it a little bit higher, and it looks like the base of the sink, and I think it works out really well. And as I say, every time I do a make and improve it, I always feel like, oh, this is better. So yeah, very pleased with how that turned out, and I did glue that into place. And as I say, I glued the unit onto the wall, and it's nice and spacious, and it just works brilliantly. And then I made a few bits and pieces to go on top, using my beads, glued them together to make some sort of hand soap and toiletry bottles. And then I had another little metal thing. It's actually something you put into a cupboard when you're doing a flat pack, and I thought that would make a nice little toothbrush holder. So I'm always keeping bits and pieces from DIY projects as well, because they're really handy little pieces that you can use in your Dollhouse. So that is my vanity unit for the new Dollhouse, and it's all stuck on that wall, and then that can just be slotted back into the bathroom. It just gives it that fresh, modern look. So as always, I do like to modernise my Dollhouse and renovate. So here is another unit that I made when I did another renovation. So again, just pieces of cardboard, and I just sellotape them together, cover them with the sticky back plastic, and there I have a lovely unit there to keep all the toiletries, towels, etc. in. I did a little update on the bathroom. I made this rug. And then after using it as a rug for a little bit in the centre of the room, I cut it down a little bit smaller and turned it into a toilet mat. And I thought that just sort of up-leveled the toilet a little bit, giving it a little bit of shape on the base. And then I made another unit. I just drew out a net for a rectangular unit with black cards. I thought for a change, rather than cardboard, I would assemble this together. And then using double-sided sellotape, I glued in some shelves, and then again using the double-sided sellotape, I attached it all together, and then I just popped those shelves, glue up the other side, and then it's all nice and secure. And that was nice, simple, easy thing to do. And then I just made another box, same sort of method. And then put the towels and everything in that. So I did make the first unit, and then I sort of, again, streamlined it and made this one when I did another little move round. But when you can, just use a net and put them together, it's so easy to make and change your furniture. So you don't have to have a box to cover. You can just make your own. So it's always a good idea. have a nice thick bit of card to do that. And it was good having the black card already, because then I didn't have to cover it. So that I would definitely recommend doing, because sometimes the other way I do it can be a little bit hard to glue together sort of successfully, and it ends up being perhaps a little bit not as sturdy. So I was very pleased with that final unit there that I've made. So I think this is the bathroom in its current state. So this is how it is now. Of course, I'm sure there are more renovations in the future, so stay tuned to see what I do next. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't, please consider doing so. Give me a like, drop me a comment, because I do love to hear from you. So until next week, take care. Bye bye.